Great.
Oh wait, somebody who just might have his picture taken.
That is fantastic. That ain't going
You have to take pictures of everybody.
That's like.
Yeah. He's got a long day or more.
Okay, this is who I came from. Thank you very much. That's tomorrow. That's tomorrow. This is Yep.
Do you have Showtime or something?
Yes.
Do you ever watch all the bad movies in there?
Yeah, I do. Oh, he's my idol. I got into kickboxing this time.
Thank you very much. Thank you very much. Good afternoon. It's still afternoon, isn't it? Yeah, it is, right. Nice to see you. Thank you. I'll give you a flash later. What am I saying? What would you like to know? I mean, I think most of you know more about the Star Wars movies than we do. Or than I do, I should say.
That one?
What can I go back to 1976? When you weren't even born, most of you. And, oh, not you, I mean, I can see you're an old man like me, you know. They used to say, look at that funny little man. No, first of all, the kids used to say, look at that little man. And then I got a little bit older, and then they say, look at that funny little man. And now they say, look at that funny little old man. So I'm afraid that's what happens to you when you get older, you see. But anyway, going back to Star Wars in 1976, when I was about 18. I'd never been kissed. Lovely legs. Shame about the face, but the legs are beautiful. Now, where was I? And I'm sober, for Christ's sake. We were in 1976, and I was doing television in England, a show called Opportunity Knocks, you see, which was a talent show, basically. And there were two of us, me and Jawa, you know, Jack Purvis, who was head of the Jawas. Well, Jack and I had a double act in England, a vaudeville, what you call vaudeville over here. We had a cabaret act, and we played every theatre, every club you could think of. For 30 years we were together. But this was 1976 we were together, and suddenly my agent said to me, or you won't know his name, anyway, he said to me, go up to London, because there's somebody up in London that's looking for a little guy to get into the robot, because they built the robot, and they couldn't find anybody to get into it, because it was too small, you see. So they said, they've got to find somebody small. So I went up with Jack, my partner, because I thought, well, I can't just take off in a movie and leave Jack starving to death, you see, this basically. So we both went up, and I got the part straight away. George and Gary Kurtz and Robert Watts looked at me and went, he'll do. And that was how I got the part. I didn't have to audition, I didn't do any of that. So that was it. So I said, what part? They said, you're in a robot. Well, the following week, I was also on English television in this show called Opportunity Knocks with Jack. And I thought, what do I want to be stuck in a robot for? I could be a star on television next week. So I turned it down. And I said, no, I don't want to know about being in Star Wars. I didn't even know what the name of the film was going to be. I said, I don't want to really be stuck in it. Who wants to be stuck in a robot? And 1976, in England, the weather was like you've got here now. It was 80 and 90 degrees heat, which in England was unusual, to say the least. And I thought, oh hell, that could be murder, stuck inside a robot in this heat. So I turned it down, and I went home. And about a week later, Les Dilley and Norman Reynolds, the art department guys, you'll know who I'm talking about, no doubt. they both turned up at my house. And they said, "You've got to do this movie." I said, "Why?" They said, "Because we can't find anybody else to get into the robot." Because I happen to have a small bum, you see, like that, you see. And it just fitted inside the robot. And I've also got short arms, which also helped. Because most little guys have got long arms, like Warwick, you know, he's got quite long arms. And my wife at the time, she was quite big at the hips, you know, and she couldn't get into the robot either, you see. So we had, so they said, "You've got to do name your own price." I said, "What do you mean, name my own price?" They said, "They've got to use you, they can't find anybody else." I said, "But I don't really want to do it." I said, "But they might offer you thousands and thousands of dollars or pounds or whatever you want." But anyway, I didn't get into that, because I had an agent at the time who was booking us in cabaret. Anyway, so it was his job to go and speak, you know, about the money. Didn't even enter my mind to say, "Oh, I won't do it for X amount of dollars." I just didn't get to that stage. And eventually, after about 2 or 3 weeks, I thought, well, we can still do our opportunity knocks and still do the movie. So this is what we did. We did opportunity knocks. As it happened, we came third with Love Together and Champagne, 2 pop groups. And Champagne won because they had 2 gorgeous girls with big boobs, you see. So the 4 of them won. So they won, and we came third. But really, we weren't really in the show to win anyway, because unless you're a recording or a singer where they can make money on you, you know, you've got no chance. I mean, we were just in the show to make up a show, to give it a bit of variety, make it feel more like a variety or vaudeville show. But we had some fun, and we did the show, then we went back for the All Winners show. Although we didn't win, it was just to make up the show, make it more of a variety show, you see. And then we got into the Star Wars bit, and I was going to Harlesden in those days. Remember that studio in Harlesden, in northwest London, with the Lee Electric boys, Lee Electrics. Do you know about Lee Electrics? Anyway, they were the lighting boys, and they had this studio in North London. And I used to keep going down there to the art department and the special effects to get this robot, you see. So I get into the damn thing, and we couldn't move it. It just would not move. So they had to free the leg somehow. They got the leg to move, and then I thought, well, how am I going to move it? Because every time I went like this, that leg went back. And if I put that leg forward, that leg went back. And I was going nowhere. So they said, well, we put some wheels on. Like, I know I had roller skate, because I used to roller skate and ice skate. So I could skate anyway. So they said, well, we'll put skates on. But they couldn't really put skates on because it was too wobbly. So they thought, well, we'll put rollers on. And yet the same thing happened again. I just went, you know, like that. I was rolling around all over the place with no control. So then they put ratchets on. So the only way it would roll was forwards and not backwards. That was okay, except I could only really go like 4 inches per leg, like this. And it weighed about 70 pounds. And at the time I weighed 70 pounds. And I weigh 84 pounds now, it's there somewhere, you know. It's Guinness. Because I went to Ireland, and that's when I discovered Guinness. I make a fortune in Ireland, they think I'm a leprechaun. Anyway, what am I talking about? Oh, anyway, I couldn't get this robot to move anyway. Could I get this damn robot to move? And one day I went like that. And they said, hey, that looks good. So while I'm doing this, because there was a suspension in both sides. There was a little spring somewhere, I can't remember where it was now. But there was a spring. And it would spring. So, well, that feels good. So then while it was in the air, I'd move it forward. And then same thing with this leg. So I could move, but it was only still very slow, just about like this. So when they did the chases, up and down corridors with stormtroopers and God knows what chasing us, I had no chance. So then that's when they developed the third leg. Now I've got a third leg, but it ain't that big, you know what I mean? So, and mine's not electric either. So they developed this robot with the third leg. and it just sat back and then took off. And they developed these things with remote control, but they sometimes go haywire, because you know you get these, what's the thing I'm trying to say, telephones, they pick up taxis and aeroplanes and all kinds of things. Well, this is what happened with the robots. They suddenly go haywire. And we were out in the desert eventually. We got out to Tunisia. You say Tunisia, and we say Tunisia. But anyway, there you go. We were out in Tunisia filming, and when the scene before Mark Hamill buys me, who sold me to Mark Hamill? Somebody sold me to Mark Hamill. I can't remember who it was. Yeah, there you go. So you know more about the movie than I do. So in that particular scene, anyway, we were out in the desert, and there was about 3 or 4 or even more R2 units in different colours. I was the blue and silver. There was a red one, and there was a blue one. They were all different colours. And I'm wobbling away across the desert like this in my robot. And Jack Purvis, who was the Jawa, I don't know what he was doing actually. He was next to me on the desert, anyway. He said, "Look out, there's another robot coming." And there was one of these 3-legged jobs coming towards me at about 25 miles an hour. And I didn't know, because I'm inside, I don't know what's going on outside. All I can see is very little, but I've got these opaque perspex, and everything looks further away than it actually was. So I'm in this thing, and I'm thinking, what's he talking about? There's a robot coming there, bang, and it hit me. And I'm just sort of keeled over like this. Didn't knock me completely over, but I didn't know what the heck it was. I thought there was a seagull had hit me or something. Anyway, and these robots were very sort of unpredictable, for one word. Was one way of describing them. You never knew what they were going to do next. So that's why I was in the movie, mainly because even if they didn't use me, and they used the remote control, if they ever went haywire, which they often did, I was on standby. Which was nice, because I was getting paid anyway. And at the time I lived in Bushy, which is Watford, which is about 5 miles from Elstree, where we were based, in England. And so I lived within 10 minutes drive of the studio. So eventually I got into Pat Carr, the lady that seemed to be running the show at those days. I said, "Listen, Pat, don't call me in for 7:30 or 6 o'clock in the bloody morning when I'm not going to do anything all day. Why don't you leave me at home, and then when you get to the scene that you think I might be used in, I'll be there in 10 minutes. And I get into the robot as I am, like this. Because I dress for the occasion, as you can see." Yeah, that's what I did. I wore shorts, t-shirt, and sandals. And that's all I wore. You know, I just used to jump straight into the robot. No makeup. No wig. It was easy. And then I just wobbled around for a few days, and that was it. Anyway, that's what I did. I was, days on end, I used to lay in my back garden sunbathing, hoping they wouldn't call me. And that was the first Star Wars. We went out to Tunisia anyway in the aeroplane, and we'd never met Alec Guinness. And we thought, what's Alec Guinness going to be like? You know, what's he doing in a movie like this? But really, in those days, you wouldn't connect Alec Guinness with his status as an actor in a science fiction type of movie, would you, really? I'm going back 20 years. I thought, what's he doing in this movie? He must know more about this than we do. You know, it just didn't make much sense to me at the time. So anyway, we met him on the aeroplane, you see, and as we walked in, he was sitting there. And somebody who stood there saying, "This is Sir Alec Guinness." And so, "Oh, hello, Sir Alec, so pleased to meet you." He said, "Please, don't call me Sir Alec, just call me Alec." But really, you couldn't. He had this sort of aura about him. He had so much respect. But you just couldn't call him Alec. I mean, you know, like an electrician, you know. So we called him Sir Alec. Whether he liked it or not, we still called him Sir Alec. And he was a great guy. So we get on the plane, and we flew to Tunisia. And we actually go to an island called Dar Jerba. And Jack had his wife with him, and I had my wife with me. And it was this beautiful hotel on the island of Dar Jerba, just off the coast. And so we're all there, we're partying all night, having a ball, you know. And then we have to be up at 6 to get into a car to drive to Tozeur, T-O-Z-E-U-R or something, which is like 6 hours drive into nowhere, into a desert towards Algeria. And when we get there, it's raining. And the streets were just floods of mud. And there were no pavements or sidewalks, as we call them pavements. There was no sidewalks. There was no glass in the windows. It was just a hole in the wall. these flat, square, little, like what we call bungalows, you know, these just one story high. And what a terrible place. It was just like Jesus Christ had walked out the back door and we walked in the front door. Because they just looked as though they're all like back in the Christian, you know, the early days of the Bible. They haven't changed. Unbelievable. And there's this head man of the village sitting there with a big white beard. And all he did was look. I wonder what he thought. I'd love to know what was going through his mind. And then up in the sky, like at 25, 30,000 feet, there are vapor trails of aeroplanes flying to Johannesburg, or in that general direction, south. I wonder what he thought they were. Maybe he thought they were shooting stars or something. Anyway, so then we meet all the electric boys, you see, in the hotel, the first night in Darjava, and we're all saying, what did Alec Guinness say to you? You see. And my partner Jack, who had a slightly warped sense of humour, a bit like Boba Fett, he said, they said to Jack, what did Alec Guinness say to you? He said, oh, he just said, get out of the way, get out of the way. You see. And that night, Alec Guinness said to one of the electric boys, what did Jack say? So he told him what Jack had said. They said to Alec Guinness, Jack said that when we asked him what did you say to him, he said that you said to Jack, get out the way, you see, and ignored you completely. So when we get out to the desert, eventually filming in the canyon, we had a day off, because obviously, you know, we don't all film every day, so we both had a day off. But Jack went up the canyon to watch the filming with Peter Diamond, the stunt coordinator. And it's great, you know, watching the filming in the canyon. And there's Alec Guinness there doing his bit. See, and they said, cut! So they stopped filming. And Jack's sitting on a rock, like this, say. He's there, and Alec Guinness is up here somewhere. And he's doing his bit, and they say, cut! So that's that, you see. And Alec Guinness walks away, and he's still got all his gear, his wig on, and all the business. And Jack's sitting on his rock, and he's coming towards him. And he thought, what a professional actor this guy is. And he's still rehearsing. And he's getting closer and closer and closer. And Jack's right there. And as he got up to Jack, he went, get out of the way. And that was months later. He remembered what Jack had said about it, you know. Beautiful, isn't it? He remembered it. And then that same day, I met him later on in the afternoon, driving around. He had a Mercedes at his disposal. And he took me to an oasis, which I'd never seen before. And there were all these circular palm trees and a lake, just in the middle of nowhere. It was strange. And then we had the sets out in the desert. And we were sitting there one day, and what was his name? John, the special effects on the first. Yeah, John Steers. He had a motorbike. He took a motorbike with him. I don't know how he did that, but he did. He took a motorbike and some binoculars. And he's looking around, and he said, there's somebody coming across the horizon. And you just saw it was like Lawrence of Arabia. It was always shimmering like this. And I couldn't see a thing looking at, what's he talking about? And a guy was walking across the desert with a camel. And he's going, and he walked like the camel. He's going, and he got closer and closer. And all the Lee boys, they were all Londoners, you know, good blimey, mate, come on, let's go and have a drink. Too like this, and he's saying, oi, you, oi, mate, come over here, come and have a drink. And the camel just kept walking. Camel just kept walking away. This guy came across. They gave him some fruit. He wouldn't drink any alcohol. He just had water, some fruit, did all his business, and then walked away and just walked after the camel and disappeared. Went on forever until he just completely, how did he know where he was going? He didn't have any maps. There was no road signs to anywhere. Weren't even any roads. Amazing, aren't these guys? He was a nomad. He could have been smuggling dope. That's probably what he was doing. And out at that time we had one of these sand crawlers, you know, the sand crawler, out in it, where I was sold to the we had this great big sand crawler. And the Algerians sent up a plane because they thought it was a rocket launcher. He sent a spy plane up to see what it was. What I was going to tell you, that was Tunisia. And we came back, and then the next movie was Empire Strikes Back. And I didn't get involved in the snow scene. They went out to Norway, Finse, a place called Finse, F-I-N-S-E. And it's North Norway, 40 degrees below zero. Apparently the oil in the cameras froze, everything just froze up. It's good job I didn't go there, you know. Good job I didn't go, because I'd have been the only frigid midget with a rigid digit if I'd have gone. Well, incidentally, we're not called midgets anymore, you know. We are people who are vertically challenged. Didn't know that, did you? I've been horizontally challenged a few times, but I've never been vertically challenged. Oh, there was that time when I was stood on a box. And when she saw the gleam in my eyes, she kicked the box away. Anyway. Mustn't go on to that, it's Sunday, isn't it? So I didn't go there, you see. But we went to Washington for the premiere. And I took my wife with me, and we stayed at the Watergate. And then my mother lives in Biloxi, Mississippi, because my mother married a GI and divorced my father and came to America and lived in Clarksdale, Mississippi. And she used to shop in Memphis, Tennessee. And she used to, just at the end of the last World War, and she used to send me food parcels of cans of peaches and pears and kinds of stuff we'd never seen in England for years. And clothes, I got all kinds of, from Sears and Roebuck, all these beautiful clothes and fruits and Hershey bars and Lifesavers and all this stuff we'd never seen before, you know. And that was my mother living. Then she moved from Clarksdale down to Biloxi, which is where she is now, at this moment. And I daren't phone her up and tell her I've been over here, otherwise she'll kill me, but I'll go and see her. But you know, you just can't get it in. You see, the guys have paid for the air tickets, and they booked us back on the plane tomorrow lunchtime, I think, isn't it? So by this time tomorrow we could be somewhere near Greenland, or Canada or somewhere. But my mother's about 85. And she's American. She was a naturalized American after the war. And she writes to me like an American. It's funny. She says, I'm driving down the freeway in my Chevrolet and I get a hole in my radiator. Now I need a hole in my radiator like I need a hole in my head. Now we wouldn't talk like that in England, but this is my mother, and she's 83 or whatever she is. Another bit of useless information really, isn't it? Nothing to do with Star Wars, but there you go. And then we did the premiere in Washington, and we flew back on the Concorde, which was quite a trip. And we didn't know till we got to the airport that we were going to be on Concorde. Just saw the plane there and thought, I wonder if we're on this. And we were. And it just goes, 60,000 feet was what we were flying. And up there you can see the curvature of the earth. And the skies are dark blue. And I went up to the pilot's cockpit and said, what can you see up here? He said, nothing, there's nobody else up here. Except U-2 spy planes occasionally. Yeah. And then we landed at Heathrow in London, and the plane went boom, boom. And you know those long undercarriage legs? I thought, Jesus Christ, if they break, we're in trouble. And this American shouts, I go back and hit him again, he ain't dead yet. Yeah, that was a magic thing. And then we did the premiere for Empire Strikes Back in London with Princess Margaret, and when she was married at the time to Lord Snowden. And I lived at the time in Birmingham, in England, in the centre of England. And my son was only about 2 or 3, and we were going to get him christened at the local church. And there was what was his name, Derek Hart, in England, did a documentary about little people, all about little people like myself and Warwick. And it was called Born to be Small. And it was all about people like this. And they came to my flat, or my apartment in Birmingham, and said, we want to christen your son, we want to film your son's christening. And the poor kid got christened about 25 times. And he kept going, right, take it again, cut, take it again. He nearly got drowned. But it was great. Lord Snowden knocked on my door at 9 o'clock in the morning. And I just happened to be going out with we'd had a party, a christening party, with the crew, the film crew. and all our relatives and my relations. And the place was littered with bottles of gin, whiskey, vodka, whatever. I'm walking out of the back door with a bottle of vodka. I walked straight into that was back brandy, Courvoisier brandy. And opened the door, and there's Lord Snowdon. And he said, "Where are you going with that?" I said, "I'm going to put it in the dustbin." He said, "No, there's some in there, yeah?" He did. Couldn't believe it. He'd driven back from Spain. And he was at my door at 9 o'clock in the morning. But anyway, that was another experience, which has just come back to me. Nothing to do with Star Wars, but I thought you might be interested. What happened then? The Empire Strikes Back. That was with Irving Kershner, wasn't it? Great, he was funny. He always reminded me of Kermit the Frog. Because he used to say, "Hey, I've got a better idea." Does that sound like Kermit the Frog? No, all right then. Here's another bit you won't like. And that was The Empire Strikes Back. Then we did The Return of the Jedi. By then I knew what part I was playing. Because the first movie I couldn't understand how come I'm a rebel and yet I'm a goodie. I thought rebels were baddies. It took me a long time to get sunk in what kind of a character I'm trying to be playing. And I enjoyed the movies, but George liked it when I moved, you see, because I did all this and this, and the head moved, and it just jiggled around in jungle. Whereas when it was remote, it was too smooth, and it really didn't have a lot of character. And George said, "No, I prefer it when you're in it," but I couldn't keep up. I just couldn't move fast enough. So that's why they developed the remote controls. Then we got to the last one, right, Return of the Jedi, and or Blue Harvest, as we were called in Arizona. Got to Arizona, we got to the Stardust Motel, right in the main street of Yuma, Arizona. And we arrived there, and there was Carrie Fisher, there was everybody, Mark, Harrison Ford, everybody at this party around the pool. And my room was right there with sliding glass windows right on the pool. Boy, what a time that was. Great time. I think I told you yesterday. Were you here yesterday? Yeah, well, coming back from the set with the Mercedes. Yeah. Oh, what? I mean, C-3PO wasn't... For some reason, he doesn't seem to lend himself to people. I don't know why, because he's a nice guy, basically, but he just has a way of doing things that people don't like. I don't know what he does, but he rubs people up the wrong way, poor sod, you know. And we're driving back from the set, and the crew bus overtook us. And when we looked round, every window had a backside hanging out the window. They mooned him. "Oh, you want to get me off?" "Oh. A 5-minute warning?"
This guy's been ripping me. You don't know what it's like to have this guy picking on you for like 5 days. It's unbelievable. It's actually been a pleasure. I mean, he can cut me down anytime.
It seems longer than that.
He just sees me as fair game. That's why I have to run away now, because he sees like, "Oh, okay, Jim." I'm going to announce that David is coming on in about 5 minutes, okay?
David Prowse. Right. We've got to go and tell him now, because he's got a long way to come. He's on crutches. Right. So I won't wait. What else can I talk about? Goodness. Well, what we'll do, we've got as far as Return of the Jedi with Richard Marquand, who was the director. And I didn't get on very well with Richard Marquand. I don't know why, we just didn't click. And he said, "I'm going to use you because George says it looks better when you're in the robot." And I thought he was going to use me. But in actual fact, I was hardly in Return of the Jedi. I was there in case they went wrong, but I wasn't in much of it. But never mind, that doesn't matter really, does it? And then shortly after that movie, poor Richard died. I don't know what he died of.
Ladies and gentlemen, Kenny, I'm sorry.
You're going to cut me short? You're going to cut me short.
Ladies and gentlemen, in just a few minutes, Darth Vader, David Prowse will be taken to our stage in the auditorium behind the black curtain. If you want to come around, Kenny Baker, R2-D2, the beloved R2-D2 is on stage right now.
Am I?
Doing his one-man show. In the meantime, too, we have Sid Mead right in front of the black curtain.
Have we?
Way over to the auditorium. Sid Mead, the designer for Blade Runner, Tron, 2010, and Aliens. I'd like to meet him. He's now signing autographs right behind the black curtain. And Warwick Davis is walking back to sign autographs in the autograph area. We still have some of our celebrities here. Francine York from Lost in Space. Cassandra Gaba from Conan the Barbarian. Mark Shepard. from
What,
Phoenix
you know
Nine
what that is?
and
Who?
Ron.
Cindy Garber? Sorry,
What about
Blade
it?
Runner
Get off!
fans and stuff.
Get off.
We've seen the suit.
You see,
Well, I might as well cut myself short. I need
And all our Star Wars
Oh.
stars will be signing autographs afterwards. After David, we're bringing them all on stage together. So you want to join us for that?
He loves the sound of his own voice, this guy, doesn't he? What I was going to tell you, that just reminds me of American service clubs. We used to play, when I was with Jack, we were called the Mini-Toners. And we played all the American clubs in Germany. And you'd be in the middle of your act, and the voice would say, Sergeant Wilcox, you're wanted in the lobby. You have a phone call. Right in the middle of your act. Right in the middle of a joke. Shall I tell you a joke? Do you want to hear the one about the lady that loved Mike Tyson and Frank Bruno? Do you want to hear it? Right. She went to the tattooist and she said, I want a tattoo of Mike Tyson and Frank Bruno. To the tattooist. And the guy said, you want both of them? She says, yeah, both of them. He said, where am I going to put both of them? She says, on my thighs. Oh, right, really? On your, okay. And she said, as close as you can get them. One looking that way, and one looking that way. She said, he said, well, if you're going to be that close, you've got to take your knickers off. She says, don't worry about it. So he tattoos Mike Tyson and Frank Bruno. And she stands up and says, that doesn't look anything like him. He said, it does. She said, it doesn't. I don't know which is which. He says, get back on the couch. I'll go and get a complete stranger off the street and see what he thinks. So he walks out the door. Oi, you, come here. Who's that? He looks down, he says, well, let me see now. Now that looks like Mike Tyson. And that one looks like Frank Bruno. And that must be Don King in the middle. I'll see you later, folks. Have a good day.
Boy, I've been wanting one of those. I'm gonna get one this time.
Back in Return of the Jedi, the mighty Peter Mayhew, Chewbacca, and last but not least, Jeremy Bulloch, Boba Fett. Give him a warm welcome.
Right. Thank you very much indeed, ladies and gentlemen. I'm afraid we must now go. Thank you. Thank you. Thank you. Right. So, Dave, where did you get to, Dave? Sorry, we're a bit late.
I was actually on 1974 when you came in.
We've got years, yes, haven't we? Well, 1974.
1974 was a great year.
I was 3.
Were you?
I was
Yes,
4.
please.
You were 3, Jeremy.
I was 3 years old in 1974. See, there's no surprise, look. I won't know.
I thought you said you'd been 37 years in the business.
Millennium.
A millennium, it sounds like it, yeah.
It's difficult to say, isn't
A
it?
short millennium, yeah.
Ladies and gentlemen, you're all gathered here.
We've been together now for 40 years, and it don't seem a day too long. Of all the ladies living in the world, and I'd swap for my dear old Dutch.
There ain't a lady living in the land.
It's happy hour. It's happy hour.
Yeah.
When does the bar open? That's what I want to know. What do you want to know? It's question time.
Subject or requests for singing?
Singing.
Singing. Right.
Now, what do you want to know? Seriously, what do you want? Any questions? Any questions?
There's a microphone over on the right hand side.
Gentleman here with
There's a microphone over there if you're gonna. Me? Oh. Yeah. Yeah. Pissed off. To be put it mild, pissed off. Yeah. I thought it was the worst possible stroke they could have pulled on me, and they did it. That's it. Simple. Simple as that. Yeah.
What's the one about the parachute?
Somebody asked me, they said, what do they think when they unmasked somebody else's Darth Vader at the finish of the Jedi film? And I said I was really pissed off with it.
I was quite pleased, actually.
We've all
It was
got
you,
stories.
wasn't it? It was you in the mask, yeah.
We've all got sub stories like that, David.
Yeah.
Come on. We can go on forever.
Go on, tell me one then. Tell me
Oh,
yours.
I can tell you loads.
Tell me yours.
Well, I was in Palm Springs in March.
What's it got to do with Star Wars?
Nothing at all.
Yeah, we don't want to know about your private life in Palm Springs.
Well, wait. Any more nice enlightening questions?
The gentleman there in the extraordinary T-shirt.
Hopefully no. No.
Yeah, he'll be there.
Really?
Yeah.
When did you hear?
He's cheap.
No, out of the five of us, I am the cheapest actor here, having been a stage actor for many years.
Yeah, yeah.
The money's appalling, so I am cheap. So there's great possibility.
A great possibility to be used, yeah. 27 parts.
I would do it. I would do it. As long as I got a reasonable wage, I could buy a couple of vodka and tonics each evening, I'd be fine.
We have no pride. We'll work anywhere for money.
No, I'm on a serious note, Kenny Baker. No, seriously, if the films came up, of course I would do them. I think anybody would. I think, just seeing the amount of people, the interest over the last couple of days.
I think all you lot would give your right arms to be in Star Wars, wouldn't you?
Oh,
yeah.
They might need some extras. Yeah, they might need some extras. Who knows?
How about some questions for these beautiful ladies on the... No, sorry.
Yeah.
That lady with the beard, no. These lovely, beautiful ladies on the front row. How tall is Peter?
7'3". But that's in high heels, of course.
3'7".
How tall are you, Warwick?
I'm 3'6", Jeremy. How tall are you?
I'm 6 foot and a quarter.
Only leaves me.
Tell you. Dave, how tall are you?
Well, I'm currently about 6'5". But I used to be 6'7" before all this problem. Yeah.
Well, when that's off, will you
I'll
grow?
go back up. Yeah,
You'll
I
go
should be back up to 6'7". Yeah, hopefully they give me an implant. Yeah.
Oh, that's good. Mind you, you've got quite big heels on here, haven't you? So that will push you up a little bit. That will help, won't it?
No.
Oh, well.
Question down here in the
I
front.
get
row.
rid of these boots.
I'd love to do another fantasy like Willow. Ron has never said anything to me about a sequel, but there has been... Ron and... What about Ron and me? There is a book that I've just heard about today called Shadow Moon, which is actually the sequel to Willow. It picks the story up when Elora Danan is 13 years old, written by George Lucas. So whether after he's made the Star Wars trilogy he'll decide to make a sequel, I've no idea. So be nice though.
It's giggly Gertie down here, look. These beautiful girls down here. Would you like to ask a question? Well, you can certainly take a picture with me, yes. It might take several hours. I didn't, no, come on, I didn't mean that, please. Come on.
And you have to see what develops.
Very good, yeah.
Don't mind about this, do you?
Yes, fine. Just carry on, Jeremy. Yes, just carry on, we'll go over here. Ladies and gentlemen, Mr. Jeremy Bulloch, superstar extraordinaire.
The 4 degrees. Oh, that's makeup. Come on, chaps. Everybody, isn't it? Giggly girls.
is your Kodak moment.
Thank you. Oh, I think I'm in love. And, right. Who's the nun?
Okay.
Right, a question from the gentleman right on the end there.
There, in fact, is a Leprechaun 3, which is obviously not got very good publicity because you hadn't heard about it, but it came out on video on, I think it was June the 29th. It's currently available in video stores, so it is actually the best of the three. If anybody's seen the other two, you know, forget about them. The third one, it's got comedy, it's got action, it's got the gore, and it's, best of all, it's me. I'm in it.
Oh, yeah. Well, that's something, I suppose. Yes. Right, quick fire questions. The lady in the beard, yes.
Yes, through all the Star Wars movies, your characters came across very well, though you were all behind masks. Do you find it difficult to portray those characters?
Good question.
No, because it came naturally. I always monkey around on the set.
My character, Wicket, really, I've told a few people in my talk yesterday, I based it on my pet dog. Whenever he heard a high-pitched noise, he would tilt his head left and right, looking interested. So I took that and used that in the character of Wicket. When I shot that movie, I was only 12 years old, so I guess some of my sort of innocence might have come through in the character. So that's really where that character came from. And when you're behind a mask and in a furry suit, a very heavy costume, you have to make sure you exaggerate all your body language and your movements so that they will actually read to the camera through all this makeup and costume. So that's an important thing, which I think everybody here would agree with. Please agree, Kenny.
Yeah, I agree, but you see, I was in a different state of affairs. Like C3PO, well, you all had movable arms and legs. I was kind of stuck in a robot that wasn't very flexible. So therefore I had to, well, only when I was doing this and this, and it came to life. So they tell me.
That's R2-D2 naked there.
Yeah. Oh, this is R2-D2 naked. Actually, talking about that, I played Dopey in Snow White and the Seven Dwarfs on ice at Wembley, and I used to skate on, and I used to go like this. Right,
That's what she said last night. Should we carry on?
Yeah, but carry on. But that's what you've got to do. You've got to overact, really, and over, you know, to try and get it through the mask or through the costume, and hopefully it comes across.
Oh, so you were overacting in
I was,
the film,
yes. I'm stage struck. Mm.
Oh, you've got class, Ken. You brought the tone right down.
I've been told that before, yeah.
Yeah.
A classy ass.
Classy ass.
Classy ass. Any more questions?
Yeah, I got one for you. You've all worked on stage, film, and TV.
Well, for me, I prefer working in the theatre. I mean, there's nothing. It's rather like here. It's a live audience. You don't know what the.
Yeah, most of it.
Yes, you are. Just.
Most of it.
No, the reaction can be different every night. Every performance is different, and therefore you adjust your performance to that audience. You don't do it the same every night. If someone's suddenly coughing, a coughing fit, you pull back, and through the coughs you whack out the next line, and and that's how you do it. And that's why I prefer live. Although, of course, filming something like Star Wars is something else, really.
I'm flying back to, well, we're all flying back tomorrow, and we fly overnight, as you probably well know. So we miss a night's sleep, we just keep flying. Then we arrive at about midday on Tuesday, jet-lagged probably, and I'll be working on Tuesday night in a hotel on the Isle of Wight, which is an island off the south coast of Ireland, of England, I mean. So But that's the kind of thing I do. I do cabaret. I do stand-up cabaret, gag, sing a few songs, tell a few jokes.
Oh, that's what you were doing this afternoon, was it?
And
Oh,
play,
I see.
and play the harmonica and the vibraphone. And I'm more at home in that, to be honest. I enjoyed doing that with a live audience, as Jeremy just said, because you get immediate feedback. I mean, it's not easy working to a blue screen. That's another problem. You know, you're working to nobody. There's nothing there, just a blue screen. And you have to imagine what could be there. That went down well, didn't it?
How are ticket sales for the cabaret, by the way?
Oh, they're a ready-made audience.
Yeah, I think, have you used the joke that you finished your
So, yeah, I've used this once.
presentation? You used that.
Any more jokes? There's a guy that wanted a question. Yeah. Pardon? No, I don't. My son does.
No, certainly we
I
get
don't.
we get sent an awful lot of material, different magazines, and yes, you do keep up with the story. I do. I tend to read more information that people will send you and saying, have you seen in the comics that Boba Fett is being featured in this particular story? So I do keep up with that. Yes. Dave.
No, I don't. No, I don't.
Oh.
I don't read any sci-fi whatsoever. I've never seen an episode of Star Trek.
Yes.
Not one single episode of Star Trek. And I've never seen a Star Trek movie. But I do love the Star Wars sequence. And to be perfectly honest, I've not liked many of the other sci-fi movies that have come around. I've never. I mean, things like Buck Rogers in the 20th Century, I hated. I thought that was a terrible movie. Battlestar Galactica, I hated.
Oh, Dave, you're depressing me. Help.
No, but that's just me. It's not my. I never really thought of Star Wars as being real sci-fi. I thought basically to me it was what I call space fantasy, and as I said, it was a complete departure from what I call true sci-fi.
Right.
Quality, that's right.
Well, didn't you enjoy, say, something like Back to the Future, that ride we went on?
Oh, that was nice, yeah.
Yes,
Yeah.
and Star Tours, and those other signs. I mean, that's all part of it, isn't it?
Is it?
Yes.
Yeah?
Yes, and the enjoyment of it, and you enjoy being here.
Yes. Oh, this is different. This is completely.
This has now turned into a psychology program.
This is a one-to-one rapport,
Yes.
isn't it, with the audience?
This is,
It's
well,
lovely.
1 to 250.
He's having enough.
Right, now we've just got time for a couple more questions now.